Hey, I just wanted to make a really quick video today about how I address the problem of a stalled drawdown while I'm making a pour over. I think this is something that comes up a lot if you are new to brewing and you're experimenting with different kinds of beans, and I've definitely had the question a couple times from some different people. So here we go. Two quick notes that I want to make. One, this video is not going to cover kind of the effect of grind size on your brewing. So if you don't yet have a strong understanding of that, I would definitely recommend looking into that as well. Secondly, I think it's useful to remember that all of the numbers that we as an industry kind of obsess over with brew times and weights and ratios, they're all there with the intent of helping us brew more consistent, tasty coffee. If you're happy with the brews that you're making and the cups that you're getting, then don't worry so much about kind of always hitting the numbers that are given to you by your roaster or the ones that you found someone posted on Reddit. That said, sometimes a stalled drawdown can contribute to over-extraction and lead to kind of those bitter, ashy flavors that we don't really want. In that case, it's definitely worth addressing, and that's really what this video is about. Now, just to be clear, I'm defining the drawdown section of the brew as everything that happens after you're done adding water to it. A lot of the time when we find our brews slowing down in that kind of last stage, it's because during the grinding process a lot of fine particles were produced and they've ended up kind of clogging the pores of our filter that we're using, and they're kind of slowing down how much water can get through there. In my experience, this can have just as much, if not more, to do with kind of the roast level and the origin of the beans that you're using as it does with your kind of grinder and your grind setting, especially with sort of consumer-oriented grinders. Now, it's worth noting that burr grinders get more consistent at finer settings, as a rule of thumb. So your instinctive reaction to a stalled drawdown might be to coarsen your grind to help water flow through faster, whereas in reality, you're not really addressing the root of the problem, the fine particles, and you're producing a less consistent grind, so you're reducing the actual quality of your cups. So if coarsening your grind is not working for you, then here are some of the tricks that I've found have worked for me. Tip number one, the hotter the overall temperature of the brew process is, the faster it's going to be. There's a couple different ways you can help to make sure that temperature stays high. Number one, make sure that you always preheat your brewing device. This is especially important if you use glass or ceramic, because those materials hold a lot of heat and they conduct a lot of heat away from your coffee bed. So if you don't thoroughly preheat them, they're going to kind of steal some heat from the process, and that's overall going to slow down the whole brew. Number two, make sure you're always using the hottest water possible. Water straight off the boil is going to obviously keep the overall temperature of things higher, thus speeding things up, but it will also usually make you a little more consistent as well. If you are careful about not using water that's a minute or a couple minutes off the boil, and it's always as hot as it can be. Third tip, add a cover to your brewing device once you're done adding water. Just something to kind of insulate the temperature during those last stages of the brew and keep things hot. It can be as simple as just a plate from your kitchen if you want. It doesn't have to be fancy. Second tip, if you are normally a pulse pour kind of person, you like to pause between adding volumes of water, try using a continuous or near continuous pour instead. Not only is this going to help keep the thermal equilibrium of the whole brewing process a little bit higher, but it's also going to increase the flow rate of water through the coffee bed, both of which are things which should speed up our overall time here. It does require a bit of a steady hand and a bit of practice, but if you're normally a pulse pourer, definitely worth a shot. Third tip has to do with agitation. One thing you can try to do is pour a little bit more gently, be a little bit less aggressive. The more you agitate your coffee slurry, the more fines are kind of encouraged to migrate to the filter and clog those pores. A gentler pour kind of allows those fines to remain contained in the coffee bed instead of moving out of it, and it can help kind of increase the flow of water through the filter. For the same reason, if you typically like to swirl your bloom, or swirl your drawdown, try giving it a gentle stir instead to reduce agitation, as well as kind of the whirlpool effect that a swirl has, which may help to draw fines to the filter, or try not agitating one or both of those stages at all and see what it does for you. Your brew will probably be significantly faster, at least in my experience, But you will have to experiment and see for yourself if you really prefer kind of the taste profile that one method gives you over a different method. One more thing you can try. Once you are done grinding your beans, pour those grinds onto a sheet of paper towel, and then from there transfer them into your brewing device. You will find that a lot of the fine particles that are produced are going to remain stuck on that paper towel, and you're going to want to make sure that you weigh your dose after you've kind of done this, because you may have lost enough coffee that you'll want to grind a little bit more to compensate. It's a little bit wasteful. I wouldn't recommend this as your kind of go-to method, but it's a useful diagnostic to get a feel for how many fines your grinder is producing. So that's really it. Just a quick video about some of the things that I do. I'd love to hear what you guys do. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Or if you try any of these tips and tricks, let me know how they work out for you. If you have any insights about why some things happen or why some tricks work, some don't, please leave a comment. I'd love to read them, and I'd love to learn new things about coffee. So that's it for me. Hopefully this was helpful to you. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good day.